Damn guys, Fabio Wardley against Frazer Clarke 2 is here. The first fight was absolutely electric. Can the second one be as good? In this video, we're going to try and figure out who's got the mental edge after what was an incredible draw in the first fight. Stick with me to the end as we try and pick this one apart. Hello everyone, welcome back to a guy called Henry, and guys, in this video I'm going to be reacting to Fabio Wardley versus Frazer Clarke 2. It's the face-off, and I did a few of these videos for the Joshua Dubois fight. You guys seem to really like this content, so we're sticking with it, we're keeping it rolling, and I'm going to react to this one. The first fight between these two, brilliant domestic level scrap, and I think both of these guys actually can have a really interesting part to play on the world level, but, you know, that's going to be whoever wins this one, basically. And I think that I wouldn't say either of them are a top 10 heavyweight, but definitely top 15, top 20, putting yourself in the conversation if you win this one. The rise that Fabio Wardley's had from the white collar seems to be absolutely tremendous. You know, Frazer Clarke with that more traditional schooling, coming through the amateur system with Team GB. It's such an interesting narrative and such an interesting contrast, you know, the journeys these two guys have had. And, you know, that draw in that first fight leading into this second fight, it's absolutely fantastic stuff. I remember watching the first one, and I'd have to go and watch it again, but I think I remember not having any sort of issue with the draw. And it's going to be really interesting to see who can improve for this second fight. We're going to watch the face-off now, and I'm going to give you my thoughts play by play. I haven't watched this yet, so this is my first time watching it. It's my instant reaction to what the guys are saying. And, you know, it's actually quite intriguing to me to see if either man can really have a mental edge when they, you know, finished as equals in the last fight. Obviously, Wardley was able to knock Clarke down, and I'm interested to see if, as a psychological component, that plays into their face-off at all. Guys, just before I get into this one, don't forget to like the video. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Who have you got winning this one? Fabio Wardley or Frazer Clarke? It's going to be a ridiculously good rematch. And I just also want to quickly say, guys, if you were planning on buying the fight on DAZN, this is on the Beterbiev Bivol card, then you please just use my link in the description. You know, it doesn't cost you anything extra. A little bit of the revenue goes to my channel, and it just helps support me to continue making these videos for you guys. Really appreciate it. And without further ado, let's get into this video.
Gents, here we are again. I almost feel like with you two there must be a point where you're almost sick of the sight of seeing each other, because you've been linked with each other for a long, long time, even prior to the first fight in March. Is there a case, and I'll go to you, Frazer, with this one, is there a case of you kind of have got each other's respect now because of the 12-round war you had?
I never didn't respect Fabio, you know. We didn't have a relationship beforehand, but we're in British boxing. We see each other at shows and stuff like that. It's never been a case of being disrespectful towards him. I respect what he's done. It's just the same as any competitor. He's got something that I wanted.
Build up to a fight, there's some needle, some back and forth, some things said, all of that.
And also, I have to quickly say, you know, fair play to Wardley for taking the rematch. Give him full credit. He's the champion. I don't think there was a rematch clause. I don't think he had to do it. But he's definitely going about his career in an intriguing fashion. And I think it's a great opportunity for him, certainly, to go, that was a real big step up for me. That was a real big learning experience. Let me now make sure I go and build on that, win it, you know, convincingly, and then move on to the world level.
Why do you think you win it this time round, Fabio?
I'm the younger, the fresher fighter. There's more attributes to my game which I can advance and I can improve on to bring into the next fight. I think that he's come from that very strong, well-schooled ABA, GB squad background. He's boxed that same way, similar style for a good 10, 15, however many years of how they drill you to box. Do it this way, box that way, do it like this. And I think at his age of 42 or however old he is or something.
Oh, always the comedian, you know.
That is quite funny. Obviously, Clarke, the older man, and Wardley giving him crap for his age there, giving him a bit of banter. So that's funny. That's nice to see. And already you see this huge respect between the two guys. I do definitely understand where Fabio Wardley's coming from, saying that he's the one who's got more room to improve. He does, just through the nature of the way he's come through. There has to be room for improvement. His trajectory has been so steep. His learning has been so fast. And he's right. Frazer Clarke was in that amateur system for a long time, but you know, there is an argument to be made. There's improvements to be made still, because the adaptation from amateur to pro takes longer for some guys, and it's an interesting one. I think that Frazer Clarke, whilst he probably can't, from the last fight to this one, improve massively technically, I think, you know, there's always room to adjust the way the camp works, maybe be a bit fitter, maybe be a bit stronger. But I think from a tactical standpoint, he's now been in there with Wardley, and I think that Frazer Clarke can definitely box better in this fight. He can definitely improve himself. So I wouldn't, If I was Fabio Wardley, I would not be resting too confidently on my laurels, thinking I'm going to be way better and he's going to be the same. I'd be expecting him to also improve for this fight, or at least learn some of the mistakes that he made in that last fight, technically analyze it, go back and go, okay, this worked, this didn't work, this is how he caught me with those big punches, I need to improve this. I definitely think there's room for both men to improve, but I think Wardley could come in with the bigger improvements. I don't think that's an unfair statement.
No, look, well, like 30 odd or whatever. I just
33,
think 33. Sorry.
How old are you?
33. I'm 29. 29.
Yeah.
So,
That much older
I've got
than
a few
him.
years on you.
I'm that much older than him. Yeah, all them 4 years gonna make a difference. You know what I mean?
To be honest, 4 years in a long career as a boxer can make a difference. And, you know, guys age at different speeds. If you're Frazer Clarke and you've done hundreds and thousands of rounds of heavyweight sparring, I think that can make a bit of a difference. But 33 is probably a more prime age for a heavyweight, typically speaking, than 29. But when you've been an amateur for as long as Clarke was, then maybe it doesn't make a difference. I don't know.
Style that I have is the Frazer Clarke style. It was never the GB style, like everyone's the individual. I just think I'm more teachable than Fabio. I think I can adapt better than Fabio. I definitely think I'm not as naive or as cocky as Fabio. I think Fabio thinks he's world level, when the reality is a guy that has had a handful of pro fights he couldn't beat.
Was it an easy decision to go at it again? Was it, you're the champion, right? I mean, you guys, you're the one that has the belts. Was it easy to say, okay, let's do it again? Or was there options to move on and fight someone else, go in a different direction?
Yeah, look, I had two sides to it. I had the option to rematch and fight Frazer, and I did have other options. I got a multitude of belts. There's some unsettled business here. I'm not happy with the draw.
Everyone has their goals, but for me, you know, the British clashes, the heavyweights, I think the first one was so good. You know, I'm just not even the fight, just the atmosphere, the build-up. Who wouldn't want to do that again? You know, and I think we suited each other really well. You know, we made a really good fight.
You thought you...
It's a good point. It was a very competitive fight, as I said at the start of the video. People loved it. It was really brilliant. It was a good fight. It had many swings in it, lots of big shots. I think probably the best British title fight at heavyweight, obviously since Joshua against White. I don't think people have really paid too much attention to as the British title at heavyweight since then. And it's just a great match up. It's so even. It's so good. I wonder if this is just the perfect fight for both men. I don't even think there really is a step up for Wardley right now that fits as well as this fight does. It's so interesting. I'm trying to find my words to describe how I see this fight. You know, it's the British title is such a coveted belt in the UK, and I just love that this kind of exists within its own space. It's like, obviously whoever wins goes on to really potentially lucrative things in the heavyweight division, but if this is your ceiling, if this is high as it gets, this is a great stage. I'm very happy for both men that are getting this rematch. I'm happy that it's getting the recognition it deserves. It's a shame it's not in the UK, but I think it definitely really elevates this card for me. It makes me way more excited to watch the rest of this card, so that's good.
Won the fight.
Yeah, I think I landed the cleaner shots, the more eye-catching shots for the majority of the rounds. I mean, the point off and the knockdown definitely aided his case, and it happened. But yeah, I just think I did the better work.
Was he better than you expected, or was that the Fabio you trained for and prepared for?
I think he had a bit of a better IQ than I thought he would have. You know, a lot got spoke about our backgrounds beforehand. Yeah. You know, but one thing that I could tell from the fight is that, you know, he's a student. I could even hear him and see him in the fight, listening to the corner's instructions and trying to follow out what they were saying. So that's when you know someone is not just going to come forward throwing hands. You know what I mean?
That was interesting. Frazer Clarke admitting that the pre-fight narrative of Frazer Clarke being this well-schooled boxer, Fabio Wardley being probably the more athletic guy who, you know, makes up for what he doesn't know with his physical skill set. Clarke admitting that he'd kind of bought into that narrative a little bit himself, and as a result probably didn't think he'd be on the same level as him in the ring in terms of his boxing IQ. But then he said, look, I saw what he was doing in the corner. And then there was a very sort of wry smile there from Fabio Wardley, sort of saying, yeah, I know what I'm doing, I'm smart. And I think he actually quite enjoyed that little bit of praise there from Frazer Clarke. And maybe that's a little chip he has on his shoulder. Maybe he feels like he needs to prove that he has a good boxing IQ, that he's not just this, you know, athletic guy who's come from white collar, who's kind of just, you know, using that to get by. He actually is a good boxer. So that's an interesting admission from Clarke, and that is an interesting reaction from Wardley.
He was, I'll give him that credit for that. He's more intelligent than I thought he was.
I'm not gonna lie or disagree and say it was a close fight, because we both had good back and forth moments. But I would say if you split the fight down the middle, then that point deduction mixed with the knockdown, that brings me out as a winner. I think that much is obvious. Ultimately, all that matters is we've ticked that one off and we're set up for round 13.
Do you think a lot of people discredited your boxing ability? Obviously, the white collar background.
And that is interesting. Will it be round 13 or will it be a completely different fight? I'm very intrigued to find out. I'm inclined to think it's going to be round 13. I think that how much can both these guys change? I don't know. It's a difficult one. I think that Wardley will make some defensive adjustments. I think, and I think that Clarke will definitely try to change. But the question is, it is that big question. Is his amateur schooling, too prevalent? Can he actually change that much at this point? Is Frazer, because Frazer Clarke really, to be honest, guys, I think he's a very good heavyweight, but is he good enough to go to world level? I think Fabio Wardley, as he said himself, he probably has the greater room for improvement, the greatest ceiling. All his experience has been in a white collar or professional ring. He's not been in that amateur system. So I'm more inclined to believe that Wardley's got more tools to go on. But we're going to find out a lot about Frazer Clarke here. If he is the more teachable guy, which is what he claims to be, that sort of makes me think he is going to come in and try and be quite different. It's very intriguing. Maybe it won't be round 13. Maybe it really will be a whole new occasion, a whole new affair.
Everyone keeps bringing it up. Do you almost feel like you shut a few people up with your boxing performance?
Look, I think my boxing ability has been discredited since the second I stepped into the sport. Coming from white collar, people immediately put the shortest of short ceilings on me. Along the way, every little person was, this is a step too far, this is a step too far, this is a step too far. You watch the Adelaide fight back, I outboxed him all the rounds and finished him up, cleaned him out at the end of that. With the fight with Frazer, there was a little bit of boxing in there, some good tactile skills from me, but I wore it out as well. So I've got all those attributes, I've proven them, they're there to see. Watch them back and look at them for yourself.
I never once spoke about that.
No, I'm not.
I'm just saying, I never once spoke about his background because I'm not naive. This is professional boxing, and I've been in the gym with world champions that I've looked at and thought on a skill level they ain't that great, but in terms of being tough, being fit, and being able to fight, unbelievable. So professional boxing, if you have them attributes, you can go a long way.
One thing.
I feel like Clarke's really trying to emphasize, the fact that he is the more skillful guy by talking about the fact that he's seen these world level heavyweights, and a lot of it is just athleticism and toughness and power. So, he also talked about earlier in the fight about, how he kind of mentioned that he bought into that narrative a little bit, that Wardley's IQ might be a bit lower than his, but then he said he never ever mentioned Wardley's background, but he understands heavyweight professional boxing. I think that Clarke is basically saying he's the better schooled fighter. He's the better schooled fighter than many heavyweights. He's almost implying that he needs to add the things he just mentioned into his game to go to the next level. And so it'll be interesting to see how he does that. So maybe for Clarke, this camp's been more about physical conditioning, power, strength, stamina, and just getting his mind right over anything else. And for Wardley, it's probably going to be more of a technical training camp. I don't know. That's me completely speculating, but very interesting to see how this one goes.
The thing we have seen with you, Fabio, is that when you have someone hurt, that's it, right? And once you smell blood, kind of the fight gets over and done with very, very quickly after that. Was you surprised that you was able to put Frazer down and not get the job done?
Here's the bell.
No, because I put him down on the last seconds of the 5th round. He was able to get back up, have his minute recovery, come back into the 6th round, spit his gum shot out a couple of times, garner a few seconds, some old wily boxer tricks. Yeah, I was delayed in the process of getting people out, but you can see from my career, as soon as I have you hurt, you're getting out of there. Every opponent I've ever faced has hit the canvas. I can bang and I can follow up and I can get you out of there. Those things are guarantees. They're done. They're ticked off.
Do you expect to get the stoppage this time around?
Yeah, 1,000%.
Yeah?
1,000%. Look, I had him going numerous times in the first fight. I had him hurt. I followed up in the wrong way. I looked at that back. I've analysed it. I rushed it a bit. I got too overeager. The occasion, the moment, I got a bit sucked into it. Really wanted to get him out of there. But I know I can damage him. He said himself, I hit hard. He knows that. So I can do it. It's just about following up properly.
Frazer, you hit hard as well. Everyone...
Hard enough. Do you know what I mean? Like, we're heavyweights. We're big boys. I don't think I've even fought anyone that doesn't hit hard, especially, like I said, in them gloves. I just think it's like I say, nothing, but I just think it's a bit naive for him to think that he's just going to blow me over like he did the first time, What they see...
I didn't say anything about blowing you over.
No, but the way you're talking, just like you're going to turn up and just win.
I'm going to turn up and win. I didn't say I'm going to blow you over, though. No, I'm going to turn up and win.
Yeah. Like, it sounded like you feel it's going to be an easy job.
Not at all.
Well, that's just the way it sounds.
I didn't say easy.
It's just the way it sounds.
I
It's
didn't
just
say
the way it
none of
sounds.
those things. I just said I'm going to turn up and win.
It's just the way it sounds. What matters is October 12th, when that first ball goes, who's on it, who's learned from the mistakes, who's willing to go to the dark places. I know I am. I expect he is. But who's going to be clever when they're doing that?
Very interesting, yeah. And it's true, they are both going to have to go to a dark place. They are both probably going to get hit a lot again. And I think that's the thing. You have one of those kind of wars once. Are you willing to put yourself through it again? Frazer Clarke's making it unequivocally clear to Wardley. If you think you're going to make this an easier fight for yourself, I'm going to make sure it's every bit of it is as painful as the first time, if not more. And I think Wardley's very quickly reacted there and be like, no. Okay, I 1000% believe I'm going to knock you out. But alongside that, I believe that, I'm going to have to go through it to get there. I'm not naive. I know that I'm going to have to deal with some things in the ring, some adversity to implement my game plan. I understand this is heavyweight boxing. So I don't see any weakness in either guy here. I think they both understand what happened the first time. They both understand what needs to be done the second time from the sounds of things. And I'm just really interested to see, who can actually go and step up from that first performance. Whoever does it, it's indicative of where they can go in the rest of their career, or if they're just going to be like that sort of British level. And I really hope for both men they can raise their game. If they both raise their game again, whatever happens, they're both going to get more chances. So it's really exciting. It's a really good fight. I think it's going to be an absolute war, and I think it's a perfect accompanying fight to that Beterbiev-Bivol fight. Whatever else is on the card, for me, this one is the most exciting fight after Beterbiev-Bivol, and I just can't wait to watch it.
Unbelievable.
Do you think you can knock out Fabio?
Yeah, absolutely. I think he'll walk onto one. He'll knock himself out. He'll walk onto the shot.
You had him hurt in the first fight.
Yeah.
This is interesting.
Did he?
He did look.
I was just a little bit tired. I was trying to take a little break.
You must look at the heavyweight landscape and think, both of you in such a good position that the winner of this does go on to have incredibly big fights in 2025.
Post this.
And Clarke there saying that, he believes he can knock Wardley out. He'll walk himself onto one. It's almost like that's the first kind of little indication of any kind of tactics that we've had. I don't know if Clarke's just sort of talking, sort of off the cuff there. He's not really revealing anything in particular, but if he is indeed thinking that Wardley will walk his way onto one, I think he's aware that when Wardley opens up, when he goes for you, when he believes he's got you hurt and tries to finish you, there are counter-punching opportunities. So that is one thing he could mean. It could also just be a ploy to try and make Wardley a bit more apprehensive, not to be so aggressive when the opportunity arises. So hard to say. I don't think it will have that much bearing really, but there might be a little bit of insight there into Frazer Clarke's mind that I believe that actually this is a case of me having to do a bit less to do a bit more.
Good fight, good win, finish it off. The options for me going forwards are going to be at the top level.
Fight by fight, we take it.
All right, guys, how does this play out? I'm going to go with you, the champion first, Fabio. How does it play out October the 12th?
Very similar to how I played that first time around.
A war?
War. Wardley. For a reason. Get stuck in. Throw bombs. Let him know I'm there.
Wardley. I mean, yeah, sure.
Hurt him again, get him going, and just be a bit more clinical when I've got him on the going.
Frazer, how does it play out for you?
Come out of southpaw, bounce around the ring, touch him up with a jab, southpaw backhand, bang. Simple as
You
that.
can do it. You're capable of doing it.
Yeah, I can do it. I can box southpaw if I wanted to.
Might we see a bit of that?
Very nice.
It's not, I think one thing...
I mean, that almost makes me feel like I could just disregard everything I heard. I mean, I didn't know Frazer Clarke could box southpaw. I didn't really watch him as an amateur. I don't think he's done that in the pros, but I've not followed his career super closely. So get in the comments and let me know if you've seen Frazer Clarke boxing southpaw. But that almost makes me feel like, I mean, that's a sort of throwaway Tyson Fury style sort of comment, isn't it? I'll come out, box southpaw, do what I want. He actually could do that though. But yeah, I don't know. Wardley said he's ready for war. Clarke is saying, I'm going to come out and box southpaw. He's kind of making a bit of a joke of it. I feel like both of these guys, because they've already been in the ring together, because they've already had this intense fight, this shared experience, which was so good and you couldn't really split them. I think they're both a bit like, what's the point in this? We both know we're going to go in there. We both know we're going to get hit. We both know we've got to improve. And what else can you say about it? It's all down to how it went in their camps and, who can get themselves up again for that brutal war. I think both of them are really hungry and both really want it. So for completely different reasons. Frazer Clarke's got a lot of pride, a lot to prove, having come through that, amazing schooling with Team GB, being the sort of third best guy in there, you know, because it was always AJ, then Joyce, then him, and he only got his chance until those two had moved on. So, you know, that would create a little bit of a chip on your shoulder. You would feel like getting into the pros that you had a lot to show. And Wardley, because he didn't go from any of that, because people have always said his ceiling is very limited. He's a white-collar boxer that's just, you know, physically gifted. So, yeah, I can see why both guys have loads to prove, still loads of fuel. And I just think that there's no question this is going to be as entertaining as the first time.
We do know is that it's going to be an incredible fight. The first fight was fantastic, and happy for both of you. A little more ching-ching in the watch as well for this fight, because it's well-deserved. Handshake, come on, you guys have been good to each other.
Come on.
Well done. Good luck to both of you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Well, that was very nice, and I actually genuinely feel like they'll be mates after the fight, so that's always good to see. I thought it was very, very respectful, very cordial, and I think, you know, both standing their ground, but also definitely seem to like each other as well. But I don't think that's going to make a difference in the ring. They're going to go in there, they're going to try and do a job. Right now, my intuition is telling me that Fabio Wardley will go in there and get the win in this one. But that's purely because I think he can improve a lot. Age as well. He's a slightly younger man. I just think that extra athleticism and ability in terms of the physical ability, I just think that stands for a lot. But at the same time, because Frazer Clarke is very technically gifted and well-schooled, because he was able to maintain that throughout the entirety of the fight, because there was a points deduction last time and he got knocked down himself, he'll feel like if he can just go in there and box maybe a bit more disciplined, avoid some of those Wardley shots, that he can get through it and maybe even box to a decision. So it's a very interesting fight. I'm leaning towards Fabio Wardley at the moment, but I will make a proper prediction on fight week. But guys, let me know, who do you think wins this one? Are you excited about this fight? I think that it's very much who can improve going into this one, who can make the most of what they've got. And I think that's really just the key here. It's very, very straightforward. Who can get it right on the night? Who's had the better camp? Who's got things right? Who's gone away and worked on their deficiencies from the first one? But big up this fight because I love it. Big up the UK because this is a proper UK clash, even though it's not going to be in the UK. I'm sorry to anybody who wanted to be there to see it back home. It doesn't make a damn difference to me because I'm in Australia right now. But I do think it's a bit of a shame it's not there, but it doesn't matter. It's a great fight. It's happening again. It's on a fantastic card. And that's all that really matters to me as a boxing fan. But anyway, guys, thank you for sticking with me to the end of this one. And as I always say, on to the next one.